Little Ham says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the end of season E-Tim's podcast. My name is Desi and I'm glad to welcome you all to this podcast, and I'm glad to say a very good evening from the sunnier climes, I believe. Monty C. Burns, are you on a scouting mission for the end of the season, Monty?
Just tying up a few loose ends for Maggie Johnson's permanent transfer to Guimaraes, so... yeah.
Are you tying him down literally, or are you actually?
Well, no, I'm down in the Iberian Peninsula, as they would call it. I'm enjoying it nicely.
Nice. Well, if you bring back any of Jota's friends, that would be welcome. And we have the glorious dog watcher in the northern suburbs this evening, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. And Monty, just so you know, the weather's better here than it is where you are. Get it up.
So I believe.
It's literally 25 degrees in sunny Glasgow. I'm sorry to drag you guys inside for tonight's podcast, but hopefully it'll be worth it, because we are here to celebrate the end of what could be a triumphant treble-winning season, touch wood, with the cup final coming this weekend. We'll come to that in a second. Anyone tuning in and hoping to hear Ralph Mal, we are also hoping they can join us. We have no idea. Hector just suggested he may be stuck in a little chef toilet somewhere. But we are waiting and hoping that Ralph can join us. Hopefully he can join us soon. But we're going to have a look back at this season and the highlights. I don't think there's many lowlights, but we'll see what pops up in the chat. Hopefully it'll be entertaining. But we'll start, as always, by thanking everyone for listening, all the supporters out there. It's always great to get your feedback. Hopefully you've enjoyed it this season as much as we have. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look back at some of the favourite points for the season. So come to Monty first. Monty, it's been some season, right? Hard going from the start, a surprise exit thrown in, and never really letting up until the end. And let's be honest, we were all exhausted by the time we got to the end. But enough about succession, Monty. How did you feel Celtic's season went this year?
Hard to top. From a level of expectation where maybe retaining the league would have been sufficient. I think I would have certainly been happy with that. But the manner in which we did it, by really putting a marker down, seeing off another manager from across the city, effectively for all of the big games outside of Europe, but I mean domestically, for all of the big games where it counted, we've turned up so far, and we've one more to go. I just think it's been an exceptional season, one of the best in living memory, certainly for me. I think Rodgers maybe had a season and a half of that level of performance. O'Neill maybe got 2 seasons, 2.5 of that level of performance, but we've just been exceptional, Des. It's been a joy to watch.
Nice of you to get a Brendan Rodgers reference in for this season. That was lovely. Hector, you're a resident tactician, and you mentioned before we came on air there, do we even want to discuss the last few weeks? But realistically, I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with us. No one cares. Once you're over that one in line,
that's it. Job done at Tynecastle, then it was the factor 20 and the sunglasses on, wasn't it, really, after that, and Ange made all these changes. Monty hit the nail on the head. I think domestically, well, if we win on Saturday, you can't beat that. You can beat it. You can go undefeated, right? And again, Monty referenced Rodgers' first season, undefeated treble. I suppose that's the only way you could beat it. But in terms of performance in the league, it's the attacking football. Just at the weekend of the 5-0 victory, it was our highest number of goals in the league, is it since the 1930s? Even more than the Lions got in the league in 67. 115 goals.
Yep.
That's to average 3 goals a game domestically. That just doesn't happen. It's that rare. So that was a pleasure. Great to watch. Cup obviously beat them in one of the finals. hopefully on Saturday we can do the treble. Europe, this might sound weird because we only get 2 points, but I was quite impressed with how we approached Europe, how we played. It's all a points business and getting to, and we're all blah, blah, blah. We're football fans, right? It's about winning. But how we played, the chances we created, and to create that many chances against quality teams, I just like the fact we had ambition about us. We didn't change our style. We went for it. And I think Celtic's downfall so often has been that we try to adapt too much. Why train and play the same way week in, week out, and then for a European game every third week, totally change things? It goes against the grain. So I liked Ange's approach. I liked how we approached it. And hopefully next season, because we're in the Champions League again, that we don't deviate from that. Same again. Hopefully more success this time.
Interesting. Yeah, especially, again, I don't know how we end up being obsessed with Brendan Rodgers tonight. But again, that was the most interesting comparison, I think, with Ange and Brendan Rodgers is the Europe thing. Remember, Brendan Rodgers was this, we'll learn from this. And he never seemed to learn from it. I mean, it was just a case of, no, this will work like that. I know I was going, but watching PSG pass the ball 7 times in 3 seconds on their own 6-yard box between 5 players is still the best bit of football I've saw. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch skill like that. And we were just chasing shadows. And Rodgers didn't seem to have an answer even possible like that. But that's way back in the past. No one's discussing Brendan Rodgers anymore tonight. Before I go on to significant aspects, I do have a quiz looking back on this season for you. Hopefully it won't be too much of a brain fuck. It should be straightforward. We'll start with Monty. Question number 1, Monty. Which future Rangers dancing superstar faced Celtic in the final friendly in July 2022?
It's got to be that young fella. What do you call him? Cantwell?
Correct. Well done. Don't worry, it's not a score. Don't worry, Hector. Don't worry, it's not a score. I'll be awarding points, but it's not a competition. I know you're very competitive, Hector. And we'll try and give the listeners a chance, right? So this is a question we've had before, so you should get this, Hector. This is quite straightforward. O scored the last goal of the season, but who scored the first goal of the season?
First goal was against Aberdeen, and it was the first half. Jota got the second, top corner. Who got the one in the first half?
Got a clue?
Oh, was it a defender? Yeah.
He's Scottish, but he doesn't sound Scottish. He may be a defender. You may be on the right track there.
Stephen Welsh.
No, you're not allowed to jump in. No one threw it over for an extra point there.
Do you know what I was actually going to say Starfelt, but he scored at the weekend. He scored at 3 this season. So it was Welsh. Okay.
Oh well, keep that in mind because that may come back. It's back like that, right? So another 2 questions before we move on to topics. Monty, 4 Celtic players went to the World Cup in November and 5 came home. Who were they?
Cameron Carter-Vickers,
yep.
Dyson Maeda.
Yep.
Johnson came back, so he was the third one. The previous right back from Croatia, whose name escapes me, because he's
out of mind. Hector's ready to jump in.
Josip Juranovic, and the other one.
Don't fuck the Baldies.
Aaron Moy.
Aaron Moy, very good. Okay, just an easy one to wrap up this section. Hector, do you remember that time we went to Australia during a football season? Who scored our only goal?
I don't think I watched the games.
Did we have games?
We did 2 games.
Christ.
Fucking Charlie Musonda probably scored it.
Was Jim Melrose?
Correct. Stephen Bonds.
Who was it? Interest? I don't know.
Jogo scored the goal, and then we drew 0-0 with Frank Lampard's Everton. Lampard's Everton.
See, that was a sacking offence for Ange after Frank Lampard's fucking season at Chelsea.
The best thing I read today, Football 365 did their top 40 managers of the season. Frank Lampard came in the bottom 5 twice, which I thought was quite an achievement. Although somehow it did remind me of Big Billy McNeil when he was at Man City and Aston Villa, remember? He kind of gave me the vibes. Right, so let's go back to the agenda. We'll go back to Hector. Hector, your personal player or Celt of the year. You can be as wide as you like here, but what do you, any thoughts?
Well, player of the year is Kyogo. You know, a massive fan of Calmac, Hatate. There's lots of them, Carter Vickers, but Kyogo, I think, to score that many goals, fully deserves it. So I think he just did enough to win it. But it's good we've got so many players that could have got it this season. So that's a good sign. That was great. I would just, in terms of what they're adding off the pitch, right, as well as being very good on the pitch, Jota's been doing a lot of things over the last couple of months. Been visiting various Celtic bars like a Tuesday afternoon. Now, I know there's camera people there. He's obviously doing something. There's been filming going on, but he's wearing old retro Celtic tops. I just like the way that he's been doing that the last 2 or 3 months. You know, a bit of fun. Get out there, not taking yourself too serious. So, Jota, special mention, special nod for Jota.
It's funny you highlighted that there, Hector, because that's exactly what Monty's been doing in Portugal. He's been walking about with old Portuguese strips on and getting people to take photos, pretending he's some sort of gallivant.
He's been walking about with old Portuguese scud books, Desi. That's what he's been doing.
So, but what about you, Monty? What would be your like personal player of the year, or Tim of the year, or whatever?
I think from a playing perspective, Cameron Carter-Vickers is the rock on which we succeed. I think he's just best centre half since Paul Elliott. You know, arguably Van Dijk level. I think he's just exceptional. And there's just so much calm about us when he plays, and you see the difference when he doesn't. Even when Starfelt goes, there's no one will say. So for me, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and that's no disrespect to Starfelt, because I know me and you rate him. Hector would maybe struggle to rate him. But Cameron Carter-Vickers for me, player of the year. Tim of the year, I gotta concur with Hector. Jota, and some of his interviews, he's just obviously an intelligent young fella who's loving life. But he talked about, he's at this huge club, a huge institution with loads of soul. It's got lots of soul. And he said for him, his happiness is around the identity and the whole soul of the club. And I don't think he's bullshitting. I don't think he's playing I'm going to say it again. He's not doing the Rodgers fucking running around Liverpool smelling the mints. He's being honest. And I think he's just living his dream at the minute. Now, he will most likely move on for big money and find another club. But he talks about, and it was an interview today that I actually read. He talks about that for him, that's what lights him up. You know, things that have a cause and people around him that he can reflect off and be part of. So for me, Jota, Tim of the year by a mile, just for everything that he's doing when he could just be prancing about, you know, picking up a wage and just fucking thinking about his next move.
How about you, Desi? What's your thoughts?
Just before I forget, 2 things on Jota. One was interesting you said that there, Monty, because I liked his interview after the game the other day, and one of the things he highlighted was getting to play. That's what it's all about. Actually being on the park, as you say, it's not just drawing a wage. He just loves to actually go in the park. Remember the time we went to New York and he was playing 5-a-sides with folk and on the beach, that stuff. But that way he's like, he just wants that football freedom. And I think obviously he's getting that here. And then interestingly, touching on maybe something Hector said, I don't know any further details, but interestingly, I do know that Jota was up at the Burnside Hotel as a guest of Willie Hockey the other day, who's been shown round. So I don't know if maybe in Willie Hockey's got like Go Radio next to the Brazen Head, etc. I'm putting 2 and 2 together, making 5 here, but obviously he's maybe just becoming somewhat of maybe even a commercial focal point, because when, like, if you see all these retro tops, I was like kidding on Twitter saying, give the guy his own catalogue, because that's realistically what they should be aiming for. Like him and your Matt O'Reilly style, let's be honest, and then you'll get whatever for the women's team. But
aye.
For me personally, For me personally, again,
go on, say it. I know what you're going to say.
Oh.
First name, 3 letters. Come on, say it.
No, it's not.
Surname, 6 letters.
No, you see, you're a million miles away.
I love them as well, but come on,
it's not
say it.
It's not a tatty. As much as I feel like a tatty. That was not, it's exactly! It was James. I was going to have has anyone seen James? No, it was going to be Hatate's countryman, Dyson Maeda. For the season, that guy, I was looking at the number of appearances and stuff with Maeda's played something like 48 games for Celtic this season, plus went to the World Cup, scored in the World Cup, came back. Every time he gets injured, he just shakes it off and gets in and stuck in. He's not got the most glamorous role in the world, but he just plugs away and does his bit, and he's just one of the guys. I know he's not an unsung hero, but he's just one of the guys. He's 100% professional. And then the other day you seen him with his daughter on the pitch. And you forget these people have family lives and stuff. I mean, you just assume they go into Celtic Park and leave Celtic Park and nothing actually happens in between. And there he is on the pitch with his daughter, and you just think that's brilliant to see. I mean, it's great to see. They're not this young, say, 21-year-old man with the world. It's amazing, I think.
Can I give a special nod? And I'm going to, do you know what? I'm going to name him already. Favourite to win the Celtic of the Year award next year. There we go. Right? A special nod. Alistair Johnston.
Oh.
Watch this space. Yes. He's the man for next year. He's going to win the Celtic. I'm not saying the best player. But, that, this whole, the sort of Jota type, loving everything about it. Nailing his colours to the mast. I think he'll be the favourite next year.
But we've talked loads about that. Sorry, Desi. We've talked loads about that on podcasts, about the fact that Ange talks about hiring characters. Not characters as in fucking Jack the Lads.
People, not players.
People with they have a point to prove, or you look at their background, or you look at, like Bernabei as well. They've come a long way from home to fucking prove a point. They've got a bit of balls about them. And Johnson, well, he speaks the language and is obviously a very, very good footballer. Seems to have immersed himself in the club as well. They all seem to a point. Something catches them, or else the culture that Ange has built is what really brought in. It's fucking great.
Yeah, but two things on that before I forget. My in the running for Tim every year would also be Harry Kuehl, because I think he's made a big, massive change in the way people talk about the kind of, he's taken a lot of them under his wing and gave him a few good directions, etc. But the regards, Matt O'Reilly had a good conversation the other day, and they were saying, Matt, does this ever get old? And he went, I'm still getting used to this. This is still new to me. I'm still enjoying this. And they're like, would you put the success down to? And he went, it's the dressing room. He's like, there's no big heads in that dressing room. No one's allowed to be big-headed. Everybody's in the same path. Everybody's got the same approach. Everybody wants to win together. They don't want personal glory. And they say that's very rare, especially in this day and age in football. And it's the first time I've ever seen it. I mean, and it was dead candid, and you're like, that's really good. And then that went on to the whole Ange, how he didn't get involved in the dressing room. Yep. That's the players' domain. I've already done my work. Same, I think Martin O'Neill was very much the same. He would turn up and do his speech on a Saturday, but leave them to be comfortable in their world. That idea. But I find it interesting. So that's player Tim of the Year. Quick, back to the quiz as a wee cool down. You ready, Hector?
Yep.
Which 3 sides scored the most goals against Celtic in the league?
St Mirren.
Correct.
Hearts.
No.
Hearts get 3 in one game. Hearts definitely not it, no?
No.
No. Alright. I thought, St Mirren. Who beat us? St Mirren beat us. The Zombies beat us.
Who beat us? How soon they forget, Monty? How soon they forget?
Oh, Hibs get 4. Hibs get 4. So Hibs and St Mirren and the Zombies.
That's it, yeah. Hun 7, Hibs 6, St Mirren 5. Okay, Monty. Who were the only team in the league not to score against us?
Ross County?
No. Okay, one more chance.
I'm going to say St Johnstone then.
Okay, Hector's ready to jump in.
Livingston.
Aberdeen.
Oh.
Aberdeen. Four blank sheets. And then final question to both of you. How many sides in the league did Kyogo fail to score against this season?
None. Scored against everybody.
Well done, Monty. 0. That's
good.
That's the best stat I pulled out today. I thought, that's some going.
That's impressive.
That's consistent. Because I was going through it, I'm going one, and I'm like to myself, not very impressive, because I knew how many goals overall. And then I went into the next set of games, then suddenly you go, one in that column, one in that column, and you suddenly really see it filling up. And they're really impressive. Right, so that brings me to a good point. We'll start with Monty this time. Your favourite goal of the season? Say to buy a house in Portugal. Is that what's getting about it?
For the pure, the technique, the speed of thought, the fact that it sang to everything that Ange said of the type of team we'd be. Jota's goal at Celtic Park where he clipped it over McGregor because it came from a free kick where they switched off and O'Reilly clipped it quick. And, that whole we never stop. I would go to that as just purely the best expression of us. But I think, it's hard to separate out any goals that don't have such a big bearing on things. But we were close to the wire in a couple of matches. I think Abada got us out of jail, didn't he? Against I can't mind who it was at Celtic Park. He got us out of jail, I think, before Christmas. We scored like a last-minute winner or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to stick with the Jota one, Desi, but because my brain's escaping me now for the really important one that I remember that we had to drop points when he did it.
That's fine. That's fine. The classic goal of the season. I think.
I'd say the same. That was the one I'd have picked. Just as you say, it was the speed of thought, the pass for O'Reilly, but the touch at pace Jota took, and then running away from goal to just dink it over the keeper was just brilliant. So that was a world class goal. As you say, Desi, world class goal.
Again, you've got to remember who the keeper was. Me personally, my goal of the season would undoubtedly be Jota's goal in the Bernabeu Stadium. For the sheer joy watching that game with my daughter in Madrid after having a lovely day with Hector and his son.
Did you go to the Bernabeu, Desi?
Did I mention it? Okay. I think you were there. Was Monty?
I went there. I went as well. Desi. Was Monty there?
No, I told you, I skipped it on the basis that we're going to pull them again this year in the Champions League.
The second time's never as good as the first time, Monty. Never as good.
Honestly, the sheer joy, seeing that goal and we're getting beat 5-0 or 4-0, I can't remember if they scored afterwards or before it, but we were getting hammered anyway, we were chasing Shag.
5-0. It was 5-0.
I can't remember we scored in, and then we get that free kick and we were up in the gauze in the centre line, looking down, and it was one of the moments, and then seeing it in, and you just seen pockets of Celtic fans just jumping up for joy here and everywhere, and the Madrid fans just sat and stared at us in total disbelief. And one wee guy went 5-1, and we're like, we know, we'll score 2 in the next game. We're not asking for much, we're just asking for a goal to celebrate. And that was that was one of my highlights of the season.
We were same as you, but we were actually right behind that goal. We were the bottom deck, my youngest boy and me. And just your point, it's 5-0. It was pretty much, this is the Madrid season ticket, so it's all older fans, even older than us, Desi, right? And it's 5-0, and they were great. It was great before the game. They were great in the first half, 2.5 half time. But my youngest and me, when we scored, he was jumped up hugging as if we'd scored the winner in the cup final. You know that mad hug you do that lasts for about 10 seconds, oblivious to anyone else round about you. And I remember us stopping and looking around, and they're all looking at us as if, fuck's sake. Smiling, you know what I mean? Smiling. I don't think they'd be smiling if that was to make it 1-1, mind you, Des, you're right. The fact they were pumping us 5-0 made it a lot easier.
But again, a classic. Right, where were we? Let me just check this quick. Right, okay, yeah, a quick quiz question to yourself, Hector. I'm not sure if Monty's dropped for a minute to refill his Rioja. Okay, if I said over the season, Hector,
Yep.
Nick and Stephen got 7 and Kevin and Wally get 6, what would I be talking about?
Did you see Nick and Stephen?
Nick and Stephen get 7 and Kevin and Wally get 6. What would I be talking about?
Nick and Stephen. That'd be referees, wouldn't it?
Correct, well done. Refereeing Celtic games.
Yeah.
Yep. Nick Walsh and Stephen, what's his name? I should have...
McLean,
that's well done, aye. So they get the most. There was a few names I didn't even recognise. Ewan Anderson, somebody like that. And David Dickinson get 5. I don't even remember him. Couldn't tell you what he looked like.
proper bowling club names.
Exactly, definitely. Right, talking about referees, Monty, which 3 players got sent off in the league?
Fuck. Maeda. One.
Right. In that Hibs game that Hector forgot all about?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Fuck, I'm struggling. Desi, I can't actually remember.
Midfielders.
Cal Mack got sent off.
Yep.
And who else would have got sent off out of that? Hatari didn't. Iwata didn't. Turnbull? No. Hasn't played enough.
Turnbull.
Matt O'Reilly?
Turnbull, high feet.
Turnbull.
Well done. Hector called it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Jeez. 3 red cards in a full season.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah. It's hard to remember them. It's just because of the way we've been playing. We've just been blowing teams away. The sort of injustices with the yellow cards and the red cards don't stack up. There's no point.
I'll come back to the quiz in a second because there's some good ones still to come, don't worry. Okay, here's a wee open-ended one, Hector. Your personal highlight of the season, again that could tie in with whatever, or your nice surprise of the season. Is there anything pleasantly surprised you this season? Personally, mine would have been, we've already touched on it, the impact of Alistair Johnson for somebody to come from the Canadian League or MLS, from a World Cup, and to say he hit the ground running is unbelievable. Plus, he's also managed to shake off his crutches and then make it for the cup final. It's unbelievable. But what about yourself? It doesn't necessarily need to be the Celtic men's team, if that helps you any. Do
you know, I was going to say. Do you know, I was actually genuinely going to say that. I thought, can we go wider than just the normal kind of men's team? That actually would be it. It would be because we've covered most of the things already, and I think the last 2 or 3 weeks with the Celtic women's team, when they did the game against Glasgow City at Celtic Park, which number one was a good thing, and they opened it to season ticket holders, which made a lot of sense, and they got just under 10,000 at it, and they congregated them behind the goal at the bottom of the old Celtic end, the Jock Stein, and it was a great atmosphere. And for them to win that, and then when they played the game they won against Hearts, and again they opened it up at the last minute, they changed it for Airdrie, a great decision, and they get 16,000 at it. And then they did the final at Hampden last weekend against Rangers, and it was 10,000. So to go from having crowds of, and I think I'm right here saying like maybe a couple of hundred at Airdrie, to suddenly having 9.5, 16, 10,000, getting a lot of publicity, and watching their reaction to it. Just there was an interview at the weekend, and I commented on it, Desi. It was the Celtic captain called Kelly Clark. She'd been there for 10 years. And they're all been amateur. It should have been the last season or so they've went professional. They've not got a big budget. But her comments were just brilliant. She said she was asked about playing at Hampden in a cup final when as a kid, and she went, I never thought this would ever happen. This would never happen to somebody like me as a girl, playing football, getting to play at Hampden. I would go and watch the men's team at cup finals at Hampden and love it, and it's great watching them succeed, but I never thought for a second I would get to represent Celtic in a final at Hampden. And basically she was saying it for all the young lassies watching, it gives them hope, something that she never thought was possible. Now they see that as something they can go and claim. And oh my, I must admit, I'm probably like you guys, but it's always old school, and any girl that played football when we were young was considered a tomboy. That's me not talking out of turn, we're just being open and honest about it. That was it, going back 30 odd years. But nowadays, see the wee lasses in particular, going to watch not just the men's team, but having their idols amongst the Celtic women's team. I just think we're at long last tapping into something that's half the population. And it'd be a shame to see us just do enough. I'd like to see the club react to what's happened there and really push forward with that, moving on. Because they're in the Champions League next year, as are the men's team. Let's see them, give them the support, get some better players in, get more games at Celtic Park where possible. I know they've got to look at the men's schedule, I get all that stuff. And there's been heavy talk now for pre-COVID about Barrowfield, and they're building the big indoor pitch just now. That's getting built. But the phase 2 of that from the club was to put several thousand seats there for both the women's and B team. Let's now fast track that. Let's get that moving. The cash is in the bank. I know I've been a bit long-winded here, but I think this is a pivotal moment for the club. It's to embrace this. This isn't just a wee thing to decide anymore. This has got to be a big, big part of Celtic, the women's team, moving forward. So for me, that was the big change, if you like, this season.
Yeah, I'm just looking back over the tweets for Sunday, and again this sum up. That was quite a special moment there from Celtic captain. Never in our dreams seen herself playing a final. And again, as you say, when the canvas stands, the crowd. I mentioned this morning, I was driving up through Castlemilk, around about 12:30, 1:45 on Sunday, and you just kind of caught my eye and there's a woman walking down the street with a Celtic scarf. This is like a Sunday afternoon, and the three young girls smiling away. They've all got their Celtic scarves, and they're clearly heading down the hill towards Hampden or that sort of way. And I thought, that's brilliant to see. I mean, it was great, and then you go back, and then they win it, and the sheer joy on the girls' face, and then like Fran Alonso is this, somebody actually compared him to Neil Lennon, somehow, Monty, I'm not sure if it was you in disguise on Twitter, but I thought, I see the alternative Neil Lennon, the happy Neil Lennon.
No, it definitely wasn't me comparing him to Neil. It's funny that I think I mentioned to you guys, or maybe in the WhatsApp, that the rise of women's sports, I think it's consistent across. I mean, I was at Sunday, I was at the Ulster Ladies GAA final, up in Owenbeg in Dungiven, South Derry, between Armagh and Donegal. And it was exactly the same type of scenario you've just described. Families, women and their daughters, dads and their daughters. We had our 5-year-old granddaughter at it, all bedecked in, Armagh Ladies GAA gear. And it's a lovely family day. The GAA is, as you know, it's about community and identity, and it's as much a family day out as it can be, whatever you want it to be. Maybe about, I'd say 1,500 there. Lovely sunny day. Now, bearing in mind that it's, GAA is amateur. For the men's Ulster final, there would have been 30,000 in Clonus. Big uproar that they moved it from Clonus, so we would have been a bit like moving the women's FA Cup or Scottish FA Cup final from Hampden and putting it on in, I don't know, Barrowfield or somewhere like that. So big uproar about that. But the more that it evolves, I think Celtic should be at the forefront of it. We're a club that prides ourselves on our identity and our willingness to embrace, all sorts of things that aren't mainstream. But I think women's sport in general, especially women's team sports in general, are going to go on such an upward trajectory that we should be part of it. We should be part of the forefront of it. And I think if you look down in England, where you've got the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, all the Premier League clubs, I think, or the big ones anyway, have got ladies teams. They're regularly drawing in crowds of 10,000, 20,000. I think the English FA Cup final, the ladies one, gets even more than that. So, huge opportunity for the club. I think it's wonderful. And it's probably if you put the commercial hat on, it's a completely untapped segment at the minute to help market. So, Jesus, Celtic would be remiss not to be jumping on it, Desi.
Quick question, sorry Hector, I know you've got just a quick one for both of you. Have you both seen the Michael Jordan movie Air?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No,
So it's a great movie, highly recommended. But one of the surprises I had this season was finding out there's no such thing now, but there's no such thing as women's football boots. You couldn't buy women's football boots. They're all just, and so you're just talking about commercial opportunities.
Oh yeah,
you know sorry. It's like you're going to buy. Women would have to go and buy a 5 or a pair of 5, 6 men's football boots. So like they haven't actually targeted this as you say, Hector, 50% or 51% of the population, so to speak, this massive commercial opportunity, just waiting for somebody to go, hold on a minute. I mean, so sorry Hector, but I just thought
there's just one thing I just wanted to add to it. And we've put a few tweets about it, and the overwhelming response, and it is overwhelming, 90+% is supportive and positive, right? But I've seen a few tweets for people, and they're entitled to their opinion, and they say, no, I don't watch it, women's football's crap, standards rubbish. Now, I'm not disputing for a second, the first half of the weekend was appalling. It was appalling, nobody's disputing that. But what I would say to anyone who thinks like that, and I probably, like many folk in the past, I'm guilty to put my hand up and say it, but you're not comparing apples with apples, right? The men's game has been going for 130, 140, 150 years. It's been number one sport in this country and the world for as long as that. The women's game is a new thing. It's a standing start. And to expect the women's standard to beat the men, then it says a lot about the individuals talking like that. At this time, fast forward 10 years, 15, 20 years, and you'll see a far better game the more professional it becomes. But it's just something that's starting to grind my gears a wee bit. So Desi, I'm just forewarning you. If I see any numpty in Twitter, I'm probably going to let rip pretty soon. Right?
People are listening tonight, hearing you going, I don't mind, and people are entitled to their opinion, and they're wondering, whatever happened to that Hector Bandido? Fuck them! A
reality is under me as I was talking. Fuck them. Yeah.
Just warn everybody in advance. We have a subject later on which may prompt the fuck them or fuck him approach. Should that be something later?
I've been too pleasant recently. You know, things have got to change, Desi.
Ever since that Madrid trip, you've mellowed out. That's like, because you were sitting with the Celtic board.
My friends, the Celtic board, Desi.
Your friend, Mr. Brian Wilson. That was a long time ago. Right.
Brian, get back a long way.
Right, so back to the important stuff, the quiz. Right, so where were we? Okay, who answered the last one? Okay, back to Hector. Who is the only outfield first team player not to get booked in the league this season?
Right, so
Superstar.
Aye. I was just thinking, can have a defender. Defenders always get booked. Midfielders tend to get booked. I was thinking of forwards. The fact you've said superstar, Jota.
No. My superstar, no yours.
Oh, Rio.
Yeah.
All right.
Rio Hatati.
You see, that's what's wrong with his game, Desi. He's not physical enough.
Okay.
Has Tommy Tank been booked? Has Iwata been booked?
He wouldn't even count in this quiz because he's not been a full time, so to speak. He's not played enough to qualify. Right, okay, you've got a 1, 2, 3 here, Monty. In order from most to least, it's very much like I'm a millionaire. In order from most to least, who has the most bookings this season between Kyogo, O'Reilly, Starfelt?
I'm going to go Starfelt most, O'Reilly second, Kyogo third.
Okay, Hector, have you any opinion on that?
That's the logical answer, but yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay, the answer is Matt O'Reilly first with 5 bookings, Kyogo second with 4 bookings, Starfelt with 3 bookings, because ever the professional defender, he knows not to commit himself to tackles.
That's the problem with Starfelt. He's not aggressive enough, Desi. Not aggressive enough.
When I have to tackle, I've already made a mistake. That's your Starfelt for you right there. So that's us, right. So that was the quiz for now. We've did the personal highlight. Well done to the Celtic women's team. Look, and again, the whole fact that we've got 2 Celtic teams in the Champions League, directly into the Champions League, quite an achievement when you think it. So again, it's a new door opening up and a new adventure for a lot of people. Be interesting to see who they get, Monty. Be interesting to see who the Celtic women get in the Champions League. I mean, if it's, I don't know, I'm assuming it's a separate draw. It must be, I would assume it must be.
Totally separate competitions and totally separate sponsorship and all that.
Women's football, I don't know if any of you have noticed, there's a chance of a European TV embargo because the TV companies won't pay enough money for the rights.
Really?
So the only country that's paid a reasonable amount, or offered a reasonable amount of money for the rights for the women's, is it Euro Championships or whatever competition it is England. Everyone else is offering things like £1 million, and FIFA or UEFA are wanting at least say 10 or 100, and they're wanting crazy money. And they're getting chased, so there's a chance of a TV embargo at the moment. That'll be interesting. But that's by the by. Let's move on to the funniest moment of the season. Can you remember any key funny moments either on the park, in the crowd, off the park, in the media? Anything that you remember with a smile on your face, Hector?
Yeah, I've got one in particular, Desi. One in particular.
The board in the Madrid market again.
No. And it went viral, and I think we get beat that day. It was away to St Mirren, and I think it was the first game after Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II unfortunately passed away. God bless Her Majesty. And when they did the applause at St Mirren Park.
I feel like to avoid a minute's silence. Just avoid a minute's silence.
So there's 2 parts to your right. So we can't do a minute's silence here. We'll do an applause, which caused a lot of rage in the usual areas. But then to compound the rage, the Celtic support, and I think the Green Brigade, or the boys were behind it, started singing, "If you hate the royal family, clap your hands." And as the Sky TV is going round the stadium, it shows you the players, Celtic players,
the managers.
clap them. And there's one thing, it's David Turnbull's face. I think Turnbull's staring up at the Celtic fans, and he can't control his laugh. He's looking down to stop himself laughing as he's doing that. So for me, that was the funniest moment of the season.
And we put that on Twitter, and Timothy Leary, he also said the same. If you hate the royal family, clap your hands. That and the unfurling of the Douglas Ross banner.
Yes. that would have been mine. Yeah. That would have been mine, purely on the basis of how it panned out with the camera. You couldn't have done it as a fucking suspense type comedy sketch any better, because it just repeated itself bit by bit. Live TV, and you just knew. Go on. You're hoping it fucking gets her. And the guy, obviously, he turned his eye away. Whoever the editor or the producer was, turned his eye away. Or maybe they did it.
No, that's what I was going to say, because Timothy Leary added, you can just picture the editor, you can just picture the director saying it out loud as it was unfurled. Douglas Ross is a cut!
Fucking brilliant.
Marvelous.
There's been some great shithousery from the stands, but I think on the pitch as well, there's been some glorious sort of funny stuff. Like that young lady playing for Celtic women, given the fucking.
I love it.
What do you call her?
Olivia Ferrier. That's Hector. He knows where she comes from and everything. He's got a Wikipedia tattooed on his back.
Desi,
he hasn't been checking her out. He definitely
no. Like you, Desi, we're old enough to be her father, so let's just put that away. No, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Because one of the, I remember we were watching it. One of the guys on Twitter obviously took a snippet day 4 seconds, and just for those who haven't seen it, it was 2-0 to Celtic in the cup final. Was there 5 minutes to go? I can't remember. Less than 10 minutes. And a couple of Rangers players started, let's say, losing their discipline. We'll call it that a wee bit. Including their captain. A big robust lady called Cathy Hill. But they'd done the sub, and Liv Ferguson comes on. And as she comes on, she runs over towards the Rangers player. and just for those few seconds, you see her staring at her, and then the Rangers player, after about 2 or 3 seconds, lifts her head, and she smiles right in her face, and her hair kind of sweeps, and it was just perfect, wasn't it? It was perfect.
It was like one of the lovely day. It's like one of the lovely day looks. You know what I mean? Lovely day. Because I was wondering if I was every time I looked at 500 million times, I keep wondering if there's a Celtic player that never sides. That Rangers player who she's looking across it, and it's just a wee bit. It's just it captures it perfectly. That whole kind of Rangers of this, and this is a goal disallowed, I think. So that was even better.
That's the gift, right? See when Beale comes out with his shite next year, right? and we beat them. That's it, isn't it? You just put that on, and that is just brilliant.
Well, that's good. That was also going on in mind. That one when Ange made the wee face. We Carter Vickers took a shot and it's still no landed, you remember? And he turned around and says, he can do whatever he wants, I'm scared of him. You know what I mean? Like this daft wee things like that. That was good. Yeah, but the Hate the Royal Family, that seems to have got the Twitter vote. But also I liked Martin indoors also reminded me of the classic, shut your hole, fat boy. Greg Taylor, of all people, whose Celtic allegiances, let's say, is often queried by some Celtic fans. For Greg Taylor, of all people, just to put Morelos in his place, that was a cracker. Hold on, I'm just reading here. And Anne saying he's a lucky man in the weekend speech. Martin liked that. And let's see what else have we got. Royal Family. No, there's something else we'll come on to in a second. So yeah, so that was the funniest moments of the season. Let me just check. Quiz wise, Monty. No, it's Hector. Back to Hector. I apologise. So far, Hector, because Rio has no scored 10 yet. That's a clue. Which 4 players have broken double figures for goals over this competitive season?
So Kyogo's the obvious one, right? Jota?
Yep.
Abada?
Yep. Well done. I'm not telling you the numbers because they're significant later on, so I can't tell you the numbers.
And there's one more. One more.
Billy Wiz.
Maeda?
Correct. Maeda, that's your 4. And then an easy one for yourself, Monty. Which 3 players have scored hat-tricks this season?
Kyogo?
Yep.
Maeda?
Nope.
Giakoumakis?
Nope.
Okay,
beat
on a hat-trick.
2 hat-tricks in one game, remember that game?
Did Matt O'Reilly get a hat-trick?
No.
I'm guessing.
No. Hector, any idea?
James Forrest got a hat-trick.
Correct. James Forrest against Hibs. And who else? Somebody else in the same game. It was 2 hat-tricks in the one game. Remember a significant game for Celtic in the league this year?
Abada?
Yep. Habada and Kyogo both scored hat-tricks against Dundee United. Remember the 9-0 game?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Right. So that was we did the funniest moment. What about the hunniest moment? And I don't mean good-looking opposites. I mean Huns. What was your hunniest moment that summed them up, or made you laugh, or made you cringe, or just epitomised all things Hundom for you? Any idea? Come on, Hector. You probably summed up something at the weekend that was the epitome for me of Hundom.
Big Cathy.
Big Cathy.
Big kid.
Well, Big Cathy. Just basically saying she's a kind of person that wouldn't put butter on your piece.
I know, but explain it to everyone in case they missed it.
Well, Celtic were 1-0 up, and the ball was out, I think, for a throw-in at the far touchline, and the Celtic player, I don't know if she said something, she probably did. Big Cathy. She comes storming. She was off the side of the pitch. She comes storming on and ran up and sort of forearm
smash it was.
Forearm into the back of the Celtic player, who got up, still smiling as she did it. Big Cathy was raging, proper raging, right? And then she got a runners-up medal because he got it first.
Let the team up.
And she's the captain. She got it on her neck. And she sort of did that smile on and ripped it off her neck like that. It was quite funny. She was a sort of female Morelos. Would that be fair?
I think she kind of picks herself as a kind of Barry Ferguson style, not like a diehard.
John Brown.
Exactly that stalwart nonsense in this. It was hilarious. See to watch it because I'm like, that's the sort of anger that you love to see for defeated Rangers folk. And I mean, that sheer hating themselves for getting beat. That kind of idea. Oh, it was brilliant. What about you, Monty? Any idea? Any help for you?
I fucking laughed my chops off, although I didn't at the time because he scored. But when Morelos scored against us in I think it was a cup final, and he went fucking boogaloo. He was going nuts, and none of his teammates came near him. He's the first player ever to score in a cup final, and nobody celebrated with him. The fat fucker just ran around like he
did he not get subbed 2 minutes later?
He did, yeah. and he went over and sat down in the office.
He can't come up the drinks. Remember he Aye, what bad news?
I think there's so much fucking comedy from them. The real Rangers are going to turn up every week, every time we play them. And hubris fucked us a couple of years ago. So you're always a wee bit worried of just being too cocky because they have been getting closer, but ultimately we'll strengthen and we'll probably do more.
But it's not us. Hold on, but it's not us being cocky. It's them not shutting up. Our players, the only player I can recollect recent times, mouthing off, was Giakoumakis. I mean, he said, we're better than them. We're all that. Oh, for fuck's sake, big man. He was just in the door, I think, wasn't he?
Aye.
And by the way, he was proved right, because we battered them next couple of games after that. But other than that, our players tend to just, keep their counsel.
Yeah.
Over there, the final whistle's just gone after a defeat. And you've got Tavernier, almost immediately Tavernier saying, yeah, the next game we're going to win. And then Beale, usually, if not after the match, a day or two later, makes some comment. And you think, why don't you just say, look, we lost the game, we'll knuckle down, and hopefully the next time we'll... And they just can't help themselves, can they?
Let's not forget the classic Todd Cantwell. Celtic never won that game of day. we lost it. Well, I'm not really sure that's what the record book show, but as Fundily Mundily on Twitter says, quotation marks, but the Rangers will turn up in the next game. Mind we've been promised that all season, and then eventually they win that last game, that dead rubber, which nobody gave one damn about, and clearly the team never either. And suddenly they're on a par. Suddenly you've got Kenny Millers and that. And that's the hope. It's self-deluded hope that they generate to pretend that they're up at the same level and everybody knows they're no. So I don't know why they do.
Ange changed 5 of the outfielders for that game, including 3 of the 4 defenders. 3 of the 4 defenders, which is... And before the game, probably if you did a poll with Celtic fans, I'd say a significant majority would have went, play the reserves, play the B team. Who cares, right? Half it tongue-in-cheek, half it serious. But once the game starts, we all get emotionally involved, don't we? 3-0, pish, that's a disgrace. Right? And it lasts for
Ange
after the see, 2 days later, people go, who cares? Really, who cares?
I didn't watch it. It's the first one I haven't watched, and I don't know how long. And I thought, fuck it, I'll watch the highlights just to see how bad we were. And then I went, why would I do that? It doesn't fucking matter.
But just your point, Desi, it's interesting. We know that they won the game 3-0. Deservedly won the game. But it's the hope that kills them. They can't help themselves. We've proved a point. We've proved we're this. We're good to go. And you're thinking...
I think I mentioned it on the WhatsApp. I think I said this is quite literally fucking the reversal of that Hampden fixture in 94, 95. I was at that game. We were sat right beside them. I remember Rudy Vada free kick and
always look on the bright side of life.
That one, and I remember us joyously fucking rubbing it in and all that, but they just sat there laughing at us. They really did. And on the way home, you kind of having a buzz on the boat and a beer and all. We fucking stick it to them. We'll get them next year. But, as you say, the hope. And it really did feel like that. It was a nothing game for us. We'd done the job. Now, that said, had we not done the job the week before, and I think there's a nice piece of psychology in how poor we've been. And I know they didn't mean anything. And I know we made loads of changes. And I know there's 100 different fucking excuses. But no team ever goes out to get beat. No team ever goes, unless you're fucking Juventus and there's a match fixing scandal underneath it.
Allegedly.
No team ever goes out to get beat. So Ange sent teams out with a genuine, legitimate belief that they were going to win those games or play a hell of a lot better than we did. And you've always got that little niggle in the back of your mind. Because to be fair to them, and I know it means fuck all, but Beale said this when he came in and is consistent about it, they're not really having any trouble with anybody else in the league. He just needs to build a team to beat us. If he beats us more than we beat them, he really should win the league. So we do have a challenge. We do have a challenge next year, but there's just too much humour and too much mirth to come out of fucking where they are at the moment.
Just one thing, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It was about the dip in the team. And Ange said at the weekend, look, it's for me. I made changes. I made a lot of changes, right? And it's a lack of continuity. It's okay to make one or two, but to do five and throwing guys in that haven't played, right? And that's fine. We get all that. But there was something he said we've discussed this on here. Something he said last year. It was around about the springtime when Celtic had took a dip. And we were getting to that, how that 75 minutes. Yeah. And we seemed to just, the energy levels went there. So we're getting the squad in this summer. It meant we could look to do the subs and all that. He mentioned something else in terms of training. And he said that he was going 100% in training for a couple of weeks. I think this was the start of the season. And he felt that come the match time, the players were on a wee bit of gas because he was hitting them so hard in training. So what he found himself doing was adapting it. And so these guys are all for the metrics of data. They've got everything nowadays at disposal. And I'm sure he said that what he did was he just dipped it a little bit. So that rather than 100% at training, he thought, well, if I just bring it to 90-95% what we'd normally do, it means that come the weekend's game, there's more left in the tank. Because you do that over the course of 45, 46 weeks, 47 weeks, you can imagine. And it got me thinking, all these changes he's made. And I should have said it before we played Aberdeen the weekend. I wonder, based on what he said months and months ago, if he's done that the last few weeks. If he just went, right, we've got to peak again as we get to this cup final. I'm not making an excuse, I'm just going with what Ange said. There's a lot of science behind it, a lot of thought behind it, and a lot of clever stuff when he said it. I just wonder if he just deliberately took an edge off them a wee bit to lift it again.
I think you're 100%, Hector. And I think he talked also about, there's a quote from him over the last sort of month where he said, you don't realise how much physical and mental energy the Champions League takes out of you, and also winning a title takes out of you. He says there's a huge drain on everything you have, and when you get there, it's very, very hard just to pick it up and go again. So I think you're spot on, and I think it's been done in a calculated way. And bear in mind, he's built all of these functions. He's not just doing it off his gut or what he's seeing. He has a sports science function. He has a sports psychology function. He has all of the metrics and all of the functions inside the system that he's built to give him the data to say, do you know what, actually, let's have a bit of a down week. Let's get the legs recovered over the space of 2 weeks, and then let's just start building up again to a peak in 3 weeks' time. Because it is the season as of, when did we play Hearts? It's a month ago now, isn't it? Yeah. We basically have a pre-season for one game, a mini pre-season for one game. Then we fuck off for 3 or 4 weeks, and then we start again. And there's one other thing, Hector, I just wanted to bring it up in the context of that. And I know we said we wouldn't talk about it again, but we talk about Rodgers just briefly. Rodgers said that a normal team has a 3-year cycle. At Celtic, it's got 2. He realised you have to rip the whole fucking thing up after 2 years to go again. Now, that's Rodgers' view. That's Rodgers' view with similar types of functions to Ange, but maybe a bit more of a limited manager in terms of the let's call it the monetary quality of player that Rodgers needed to go to the next level. So it'll be interesting to see how our summer plays out. You know, can you squeeze a team? O'Neill did it for 4 years. O'Neill got really good output out of the same team for the guts of 4 years. But that's a unique manager. Be interesting to see what Ange does in the summer. You know, subject to all those other variables that we talked about before.
Yeah, and the Neils, to be fair in context, there was a lot of heavy purchases in that team.
Aye, they were top.
To be fair. Right, so I didn't even. I was trying to look up there because suddenly you remind me of something we were talking about, Huns, etc. And that was Ivan Toney getting suspended. And it reminded me like a couple of weeks ago for Ivan Toney getting suspended for betting. And it made me look up the Ian Black. Remember the Ian Black affair? He gets suspended for betting against his own team. And I was trying to find the details because it was something like Ivan Toney get 8 months, I think, suspended for 8 months. Ian Black gets suspended for 10 games with something like 6 or 8 suspended. I mean, I couldn't find the details there. But spookily, I honestly think, obviously, your phone listens to you. Because as soon as I went on to that, trying to find that link, it suddenly brought up trending, Brendan Rodgers, Monty, right? And I liked these 2 top tweets here. So Joe Blog City has written, if Brendan Rodgers really does want to make amends with the Celtic support, then I hope he will please take the Spurs job so that we can keep Postecoglou. And I noticed, Hector, you've also joined the hands, what was it, say no to Postecoglou, Spurs.
The Spurs fan. Aye.
Right, but then there's another one, so not like you get that famous meme where the guy and girl in the nightclub and the guy is leaning and talking into the girl's ear. You know what I'm talking about? Like, people always put like a relative comment in, and this one is, the guy is leaning into the girl's ear saying, he's come from relative obscurity, managed a few teams in Australia. I think he managed a Thai prison side at one point, but he plays good football and they love him at Celtic. I reckon we should give Ange Postecoglou a chance. I'd rather have him than Brendan Rodgers at Spurs. I meant what I was going to
a Thai prison team.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come on to the Ange, future of Ange, or whatever, soon. But first of all, back to the quiz. We've only got a couple of questions left. Is it Hector again? I believe it's Hector. In fact, this is for both of you. There's 3 sub-questions here. But I just need to know who's played the most games between these 2 players I'm going to give you. Right, Hector, you ready?
Yep.
Carter Vickers or Carol Starfelt?
Starfelt. Vickers was injured for.
Okay, what do you say, Monty? Carter Vickers or Carol Starfelt?
Carter Vickers or Starfelt missed the whole portion of the season.
This season, I'm talking about the whole competitive season, including cups, by the way.
Carter
Starfelt was injured as well, wasn't he?
Just to give you some context.
Oh, the big guy Jens played a lot of the games, didn't he, earlier on the season?
Yeah, Carter Vickers played most.
Aye, Carter Vickers.
So we're going for Carter Vickers.
Aye.
Carter Vickers played 39 games. Carol Starfelt played 36. So well done. That's a point. Well done to anyone listening if you got that. Next up, Aaron Moy or Callum McGregor?
You see, the fact that you've even asked that question, right? You've even asked that question. It's a trick question. But here's the thing. Callum McGregor was out injured for quite a long period of time. He missed a lot of the Champions League games, didn't he? Was it a broken cheek? He had the mask on, didn't he?
Aye.
Aaron Moy.
Okay. What are you saying, Monty?
I think they both played the same.
Oh, well done. His answer is actually Aaron Moy played 42, Callum McGregor 41. So it was Aaron Moy by 1 game. Okay, final one. Who played the most games? Across the season, who's appeared in the most games? David Turnbull or Haxa Banovic?
Turnbull. Loads of sub appearances. Turnbull.
Okay. What be you, Monty? What are you saying?
I'm going to say Turnbull as well. Yep.
Oh, flicky. These are this sheet. Hold on a minute. Let me get my sheet up here. And the answer is David Turnbull, 37 games. Said Haksabanovic, 39 games. So Hector Monty, 39 years, quite a long time.
I'd
Real surprised.
never have thought that for a second.
No,
Do you know that?
no, I'd have thought 20 odd.
That's a shocker, right? So we'll leave the next one to after this one, right? So this is a wee bit tongue-in-cheek. You can be as tongue-in-cheek as you like, or you can be as clinical as you like. So especially for our tactician. The phrase is, I'm not telling Ange his job, but over you, Hector. Context of next season, if you like, rather than this season, but this anything do you think could be tweaked, refined, improved?
Okay, it's funny enough because one of the first questions we discussed in the podcast was about how good the season's been, right? So we are nitpicking here. So there's probably two things. One's the first team stroke squad. I would love to see an Alistair Johnston at left back, right? That's an improvement for me. And a Carter Vickers next to Carter Vickers. There's the two for me. And I'd love another bit of electric pace out wide. Just that bit of blistering pace. Good old fashioned route.
Right side, left side, where are you playing, Jota?
I'm thinking on the right side, Desi. I'd like an electric pace on the right side. So for me that, I'd also...
Is this, sorry, apologies, is this to back up Maeda or is this to challenge Maeda?
Oh, challenge, sure, they're all challenging for positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other one for me, I would like him sometimes to, I think certainly domestically, go with a couple of strikers at times. I think they could do that domestically. And I know he's very much a robust 4-3-3, and I get that. And his comments, he said, I can, no two players are alike. If I take off one guy who's playing left wing and put another on, they bring different dynamics. I get all that. But I'd quite like to see O and Kyogo a couple of games together. Not all the time, just to mix it up a wee bit. Are you the
guy that about half an hour said a record number of goals this season?
Yeah, he could get more, I think, with Kyogo.
I'm a demanding Celtic fan.
Well, listen, we are nitpicking here.
No, it's fine.
We're nitpicking, right?
Whatever you think, as I say, is we're just opening it up.
That's it. I think that's it. Other than that, Ange, it's weird, Desi. I think Ange knows best. Honestly, it's just.
Well, you're the bigger man for saying that.
No, Ange knows best. Listen, I think with other managers we could have listed things as long as we're on with some other managers. I think with Ange it's difficult to you're really nitpicking. I think. Anyway, that's what I'd go with.
Very good. Okay, and Monty, for you, again, I'm not telling Ange's job, but I'm willing to open up for you to, I'm not telling Celtic their job, etc. If you want to expand it at all, it's totally up to yourself, or Ange, what do you think? Any areas that you think could be improved upon or pivot, etc.?
I would be, I'm not telling Ange's job, but after 2 years, it's better to get job security with a 5-year contract. I think, how can you nitpick on a playing style that's been so successful? Yeah, I'd like us to be more, full on front foot, but that's not realistic. You could play two strikers domestically, but then you're changing the whole system, and we're back to that same thing around. We play the way we play for a reason, and it's structured and it's practiced. So, squad-wise, ironically, I like Kyogo. I think he's brilliant. I think O has got huge potential. I still think we're light up front, believe it or not, even though we've a guy who scored, 34 goals in a season and maybe going to get a couple more. I still think we're not as... We had Sutton, Larson and Hartson. That's the last time we had a truly exceptional front line that was interchangeable. We had those three just absolute top drawers and one world class. At the minute we've two strikers. So for me, I'd like to see someone come in who would be a genuine challenger to Kyogo. I don't think O is. I think O's there to learn. I'd like us to go back for that guy Cho, by the way, that Korean guy. He looked a real top drawer striker, but obviously he was poorly advised in some.
Kameda not played through the middle.
It's kind of supplementary, isn't it? It's a backup.
It's a backup. And again, where would you get one? At our price bracket, that could
Japan.
Where are you going to get one that's going to challenge a guy who's just bagged 30 odd and say that he's going to put him under pressure? For less than 10 million, and who would come to Celtic to play in that domestic league? So, no, I struggled to find. As Hector pointed out, Ange knows best. It reminds me of a section of a particular magazine that I picked up when I was a teenager. Long story. It was Granny Knows Best, that section.
I always go back to the Jake. Remember Jake, Celtic fans were only happy when it rains kind of thing. And we always like to have something to complain about. But it's constructive criticism, and as you say, we're just nitpicking. Like, for me, it would be, don't rush guys back. It was like a lot of times this season, I think, we just seem to, and I said he has his favourites, and I know we've had kind of words on that, but for want of a better phrase, it seems to be a case of, are you fit, right, you're straight in, and you say it might be in the league, you go, is there really any need? Why not just bring him on for the last half an hour rather than making him play the first 60? That idea, there's a lot. So, but that then brings us on to the whole squad thing, and I think that's also an issue. And again, it's strong words, but we're just kind of putting ideas out there regards competition in the squad. And you just kind of alluded to it also there. There's no anybody actually, like, a Turnbull's no pushing an O'Reilly. A Forrest isn't pushing Maeda. A Bad and Maeda, they're no really the same players, if you know what I mean. There's no really anything like O's maybe no pushing Kyogo. No, that's the idea. There's nobody else at centre half to push either the two stalwarts at centre half. We've not got another left back. I was trying to think of that today. Do we have another left back other than Greg Taylor?
Bernabei.
I'm not alright. So there you go. I didn't manage to forget about a £3 million signing. He's so insignificant to me.
But there's a cracking left back coming through the youth team, B team now. Cracking left back.
But so again, you also touched on that earlier regards the Ibrox game. You're saying play the Waynes. I'd also like, I know you gave young Summers his second game or the other day, but it also was nice to see a wee bit more blooding. But Ange's job, we've talked about this before, Ange's job is to win games and win leagues. You can't complain when he does it, and you can't say, you could have did this and did that. This would be nice to see these things here and there, let's be honest, but we just have to go with it. It'll be interesting. I was reading, somebody put up the other day on Twitter, I'd like to see a new left back, a new centre half, a new central midfielder, a new right midfielder, a new left midfielder. I'm going, where are all these players? Where are they? Okay, and also a really good right wing in your lap, right? Okay.
But Desi, here's maybe the answer to that person's question, right? A part of it is there's a lot of talented players, really talented players, ready to come through. And Ange's mentioned this several times now. He wants that conveyor belt of talent.
Aye.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he's, the rotation of the squad. So say if I talk, say, I'm pick a number. Say there's 30 in the overall first team squad. Maybe between 6 and 8 of them may get moved on, sold or moved on. I wonder if he keeps by a couple, 2 or 3 of the slots for the best of the B team.
Well, we need.
I don't see it.
We need to.
But you're right. For 2 reasons.
We need to. Yeah, Champions League squad. We need to. You need homegrown players or home academy players. Otherwise your squad's limited to is it 16? So you've got your A list, your B list, and then
same as you're 25. Somebody was saying that's why James Forrest might be there next season.
Yeah.
And you're come on, really well done, James. Get your testimonial. And thanks very much, you've been brilliant. But yeah, literally a club legend, already medals. But we really don't want to see James Forrest thinking about next year like a James McCann. I mean, it's just enough's enough. We've got to start getting rid of, killing your darlings, as they say.
But Monty's right, Desi. There's 25 player squad, and there's so many of them have got to be either through the academy or from your country, Scottish players.
So would there be any Scottish players outside of Celtic you could think offhand? I know we're getting a wee bit off topic, but immediately, would you go for a Shankland as a backup?
Gavin Nisbet. I'd take Nisbet like a shot, but don't know if he will.
Right, we'll come back to that because that's partly the summing up. Right, we're coming to the end of the quiz here, you'll be glad to hear, right, so you ready? Right, we had the World Cup during the season, so we're going to have the World Cup of Celtic goals, right? And it's basically, I'm going to put Celtic players' countries against each other, and you're going to tell me who's won in this game, right? So, for example, if I was to say Sweden versus Denmark, what would you say?
Starfelt and O'Reilly.
Aye, but like the goals they've scored this season against each other, Sweden v Denmark. So Sweden's represented by Starfelt, Denmark's represented by O'Reilly. Who's won that game?
Denmark.
Okay. Sweden 3, Denmark 4. Right, so you've got the premise of the game.
Okay.
So who wants to go first or second? There's two.
Monty can go first.
Okay, Monty, you ready?
On you go.
Monty. Own goals versus North and South America.
Fucking own goals. Bernabei's only scored one. Own goals.
Okay, own goals 5, North and South America 3, Johnson, Carter Vickers and Bernabeu. Right, so ready? So Hector, over to you.
Yep.
Asia and Oceania versus Europe, including Scandinavia.
Well, for fuck's sake.
Look, you're going to go the whole world at one point.
Well, Kyogo's going to say.
Hold on, this for everyone listening. So it's the goal tally for players from Asia and Oceania versus the goals scored by players from Europe, including Scandinavia, over the whole season across all.
You've got Kyogo Maeda between them. There's 40 odd goals.
Yes.
And Moy and Hatate and O's get about 7. So there must be about 50 goals there. And then we've got 5 OGs you just mentioned, which don't count. Aye. And the three for kind of North and South America is 8.
No, look at you.
I know. I'm number crunching like fuck here. I'm not cheating, by the way. Oh man, right, it's got to be easier.
Monty, your ideas?
I'm going to go with Europe, rest of the world. Simply because
that doesn't count as Europe. Israel's no Europe. Don't even include him.
It's rest of the world.
Eurovision rules, mate. It's Eurovision.
Oh no!
Up Australia.
Skagamakis had quite a few. That right back whose name escapes me had quite a few. I'm going to go rest of the world. Europe, rest of the world.
No, it's Europe.
Asia and Oceania scored a Celtic terrific 67. And Europe, including Scandinavia, 69.
Oof. Israel, I declare Israel no part of Europe. No.
So you are playing the Palestine rules of Israel.
Absolutely.
So anybody going with Hector's rules there, the answer was Asia and Oceania.
Thank you very much.
Recognising Israel for this quiz. Right, and then this is the final. No, in fact, I'll leave the final 2 questions for the end because it's a wee special one. Right, so quick round up, last 5-10 minutes. Hopes, dreams, fears, expectations for the summer and season ahead. This is where Hector may say, fuck him, if the dreaded fear actually happens.
Oh.
So with cards on the table, last year's end of season podcast, I was the one that turned in and said, you never hear of Ange's 3rd season. Hector, do you think we will be talking about Ange's 3rd season?
I'm on the fence. Genuinely on the fence, Desi, with this one. Genuinely on the fence. It's and the reason for that is if what we're hearing is true, and Spurs do want to speak to him after the cup final, then the chance to go and it's not about Spurs being a bigger club. It's the fact that you're up against the best coaches and financially the strongest league in the world, right? So for him as a manager, if he's asked about Spurs' interest, there's a very strong chance, if not a certain chance, right? We don't know, Ange. We can only base it upon what he says, right, to us. But common sense says it would probably make sense for him to go to Spurs. Purely from a testing yourself at the most elite level, week in, week out. I don't think anybody can dispute that. And I'm not saying for a second Spurs are a bigger club, because we know they're not. It's just because of the Sky money. But then there's the other bit in my head, and this is a bit about Ange. And about, he's always spoke about legacy and history and wanting to leave an imprint in the club. His words, not mine. Right? And we always considered his words different for Rodgers. Rodgers was always a salesman, desperate to get back down to the EPL. Ange always conducted himself in a manner that was about building a legacy. Building a legacy. So for me, that's why I'm on the fence. None of us know Ange personally. What goes through his head, what goes through his wife's head, with the two kids. Are they happy? Are they comfortable in Glasgow? Have they made friends here? Have they settled here? Does he want to spend another 2 or 3 years here and build something? Or is it a case, I've got to go. I can't reject a possible offer. I don't know. I'm completely on the fence with this one. If the rumours are true.
Yeah. Interesting though you mentioned these kids. I only found out today his eldest son's in the Greek army. Currently stationed somewhere in Greece as part of his national service in the Greek army. So I thought it was quite interesting. But again, I'd like, this is what I can, that's the kind of approach I take. The whole kind of Spurs thing is a big enough team, the biggest league, let's be honest, and the allure, like taking their family down to London, making them massively secure for the rest of their lives. Let's be honest, you're looking at millions of pounds in that deal, and for a guy who's of a certain age, they're talking about Kyogo's 28, he's looking at his next big contract as his last one. Ange maybe doesn't have that many big contracts left, and I'll bring that to Monty. Do you think money could be an issue, Monty, or do you think it'll just be the challenge? Because again, resurrecting a Spurs, even though they're maybe 5th, 6th in the league, they're still seen as very much underperforming. Do you think that would be a big enough challenge for Ange to say, that sounds like a job for me?
I think the only variable that would make Spurs attractive for him is this new Daniel Levi is brought in a number 2, and he's Australian, and he worked in the City Group, so everyone's putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5 or 4, whatever way you want to phrase that. I think he'll be here next season. I think the managerial world that is the EPL, I've said this a couple of times, I know you laughed at me. I think the Liverpool job or the Real Madrid job, he'd leave for that tomorrow. Because that's his 2 clubs. That's the ones he's always talked about, and blah, blah, blah. I don't think the money is a factor for him. He's a wealthy man. He's selling one of his houses in Australia at the minute for $1.5 million, if you're interested. I think the legacy thing, I think he's an honest broker. Money does talk. Huge money, huge swathes of money talks. But he's just uprooted his wife and his kids to the other side of the globe. They've just probably, he's 2 years in. He's probably just getting the fucking chair moulded to his arse. Do you know what I mean? They're just settling. So why would he do it again? He's got everything he needs here. He's unfinished business here. He's got another year or 2. He's got a crack at the Champions League. Spurs don't even have European football. Yes, you can go into a basket case, but a basket case in England, I think Desi is a very, very different basket case to the one he inherited at Celtic. The backing that he gets at Celtic, the ability to be 100% in control at Celtic, which is what he is for all things football. He's not going to get that at Spurs. Klopp arguably has it at Liverpool. Guardiola arguably at City. Pochettino's obviously negotiated it at Chelsea. Arteta, who knows what way Arsenal work, but it's a well-run machine. I know, short answer, Desi, I don't think he'll take it if he was offered it. I think he'll stay. I really do.
See, you make me think of something there. Like, we're fighting the Spurs, right? And again, I read, there was a good article, I think it was in one of the Australian papers, and again it was talking about his love for Liverpool and the danger of leaving too early, but having a good staying and having a good Champions League, and then maybe even Klopp's future with Liverpool. Nobody really knows where that's going. We're near a bit of crossroads. They've got to rebuild that team and stuff. So again, it might be a case of that's the opportunity. But I also think, from a footballing perspective, there's other challenges arising at the moment, and there's other challenges there's other opportunities going to open up as other clubs start moving people on, etc. Like, and I know it's a level below, etc. But even like the Leicester job and the Leeds job, like they're big enough clubs. I think that he would be interested in having a chat. I mean, like the allure of playing in Scotland is not as romantic as we think it is, so to speak. I know there's 58,000 at Celtic Park every week on average or whatever, but on a big context idea, he could be going down to England and playing on a bigger stage or towards a bigger goal kind of idea. And again, the 6 games in the Champions League, I don't know if that's a big enough allure to.
But remember, Desi,
if an interesting challenge, and it's, again, I don't think it'll be about money, but I think
that changes next year. And the Champions League, what is it now, Hector? I think you were closer to this. I think you're guaranteed, is it 9 or 10 games in the Champions League from 2024-25?
Yeah, from not next season, but the season after. So they're expanding it to 36 teams. And basically you don't play home and away. And you'll play, I think you play 4 home and 4 away, or 5 home and 5 away, and they're increasing the pot. So we go from getting circa 40 million, minimum 40 million, to 50 million. That'll jump to between 60 to 70 million the year after.
Right, so in that context then, in that context of last week, Ange is pictured with Dermot Desmond, I think it was his son. What do you think Ange would have been saying to Dermot Desmond then, in respect to if he was looking to stay, and fingers crossed he does, etc., but he'd be saying, well, we've already touched on it, we'd like to see a big tall AJ at left back, etc., but what do you think Ange would be saying to Dermot Desmond then? I need X amount, and I don't mean that to sound cynical and clinical, I just mean, what do you general think he'd be saying to Dermot Desmond? He's looking for a big investment to kick on. Do you think we need a big investment to kick on in the team? Is it a Martin O'Neill style kick on, if you know what I mean, like 6 millions?
My personal view is no. Know the way that Ange functions. I think he knows a market where he gets bang for your buck, and certainly in Japan. He also has brought in a couple of players who were not unsuccessful, were maybe struggling to develop and get game time in Europe, in Jota and Carter Vickers. And with Mark Law coming in, I know people talk about nepotism or not, but Law, his CV is bloody pretty good with Man City. So I don't think, Desi, to answer your question, the one thing though I would say these words stuck in my head. Ange did an interview, I think was it just after the World Cup, or just, I can't remember when it was, but he spoke about, it was just after, and it was Juranovic gets sold over to Berlin.
Union Berlin.
Yeah. And obviously Jackie Marcus went. He said a couple of things. One was about, look, don't get too attached to your stars because we'll have to sell them and move them on. And maybe that second interview, it would have been a second one. And he mentioned Juranovic, and I'm not quoting here word for word. Basically said, look, players and others, they've got quite a short window. And he basically lines of, it doesn't decry anyone getting that big opportunity to get that big salary, if you like. And it stuck in my head. The way he worded it was almost saying, you can't deny somebody if they want to push themselves on to, let's be honest, week in, week out, a higher level. And that's the bit that. So the answer is, I just don't know. I don't think Ange's demanding £50 million because he knows he won't get that with Celtic. But I don't think that's how he does things. I think he's got a way of doing it where he likes to assemble a squad, assemble a team, put one in there, and work hard behind the scenes to mould something. I think it's just about ambition. Does he want to go? Does he want to go down there thinking if he's off? Listen, he might not go offered it. If he is offered it and think, look, I know within a couple of seasons I'll get them in the top 4. But here's the dilemma. Sorry, I'm jotting about a wee bit. But here's the dilemma. If Ange is offered it, Spurs are a fucking basket case for a club.
Yeah.
Right. Conte, Mourinho, and others have all been sacked or moved on pretty quickly there. And you say to yourself, if Ange doesn't hit the ground running down there, there's a strong chance that's the case. There's every chance he get fucking sacked within 2 to 3 months.
Yep.
So that must be part of any thought process that I thought if you're thinking about moving to Tottenham.
I think also you've touched upon something that I think drives the man, Hector. I think the legacy aspect is how we romanticize the legacy aspect. But I think if you look at it from a purely functional, my job is to do X as the manager and basically the leader of all things football operations. You've talked about him building a system, a conveyor belt, the ability, all the teams play the same style of football, so all the coaches are now coaching the same style of football. There's no disjoint between first team, B team, youth teams. We're all trying to play the same way, and it's being proven to be successful. Now you've got an environment where a young player, where we've lost some really good ones who seem to have gone on to do relatively well in Europe. And indeed that young fella Ben Doak down in Liverpool, just seen their futures elsewhere and they've gone and progressed. You're now building an environment where no, stay here, develop, or come here, there's a fair chance you'll get into the first team. But not just on the basis of your own ability, but on the basis of the structures that the football club will have for you. Remember, Rodgers got at the place, he took everybody with him. He took all those functions that he built, he took his template. Ange came on his own. Ange he's hired one guy? Two guys maybe? Harry Kuehl and the sports science guy. They're Ange's two hires. Everybody else was there already. He's changed things about, he's restructured. You've got McManus there, you've got O'D there, and, if he does choose to go, we probably have Kevin Muscat as our next manager, which would be interesting.
Harry Kuehl has been warming up nicely. Right.
But my point in that is, I think he is more driven by finishing the job than making money. And I think your point on going to a basket case club, I'll tell you what, Julian Lopetegui took over Wolves when they were a point off bottom, got them finished 11th or something in the Premier League. Top drawer manager. There's absolutely no way he's going to stay at Wolves. Not because Wolves isn't the right club for him, because they're a financial basket case. He will not get the money to go and build a team. Can't do it. You have multiple teams in that Premier League now coming under financial fair play challenges. Spurs are relatively well run, but you look at Liverpool. Liverpool won't sign Bellingham because they don't have Champions League football. So the expectation levels, I've no doubt that he'd be successful down there, by the way, if he did get offered and took it. But I think it's firstly it's the wrong timing, and it's the wrong club. It's not the right club for him.
Right. The only response I would have for you there is when he came to Celtic, we were a basket case, right? So, and Hector also said, it'll be interesting after the cup final. So just touching on that, it reminded me of a tweet from Willie Keane, our old friend Willie Keane, and he says, this is 4 days ago after the game. Fuck me. Joe Hart just about admitted that Ange is going. Hart says, emotional next week. Hopefully we'll be the same in the future. And this is Willie Keane surmising Ange is going. So it will be interesting to see if it's a big swan song on Saturday's 5:30 cup final, if and when it kicks off, depending on when the FA Cup finishes. Hector, what's your quick prediction for Saturday's game? Billy Dodds in tears by half time.
I think the performance against Aberdeen showed you what we can expect come Saturday. I think they raised the tempo 1 or 2 gears and played the way we're used to them playing. And I just see them doing the exact same on Saturday. And if they play like that, we should win by, a good bit to spare.
Yeah, and another real Hatate masterclass as we saw on Saturday, Monty. Is that your expectation? Well, in fact, Monty, I believe you may be going to the game.
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there as a guest of Cali Thistle's fine corporate catering section. Deeply undercover, we're told no colours, so I'm a neutral theoretically on the day, along with many others. Looking forward to it. I've never done the Hampden hospitality before, so I don't know what that's going to be like. No, I'm a liar actually. I did it with under O'Neill. Was it Dunfermline? Did we beat Dunfermline in a cup final under O'Neill?
We did, didn't we? 3-1, yeah.
3-1, yeah. I was at that one with a couple of tickets with a good mate of mine who's the
prawn sandwiches.
The prawn sandwiches. So doing that with the Cali ones, I don't know. I'm not as confident as Hector, purely because fucking Wraith Rovers and all that nonsense from all those years ago. They're deep psychological scars. But when you stack everything up, big pitch and good nick, it's our pinnacle of our season. We've had a wee bit of a rest. We've now peaked, or we're peaking again. Yeah.
Monty, we control the game. No, I get reference to old Celtic teams. This Celtic team controls the pace in terms of their structure. And they're playing against a team that were 4th division below, haven't played for a month. Seriously. Celtic don't win this by several goals, right? I'll be absolutely shocked.
It'll be the biggest shock. It will be a bigger shock than some of the ones we've thrown away.
Will your gas be flabbered?
Big style.
Right, okay, so that is Saturday's game, if and when it ever kicks off.
Oh, Desi, what's your prediction?
Our prediction now, 4-0. I think we'll give them. As long as the only danger we've got is no turning up and giving away daft free kicks where they can fling high balls into possible set pieces. The Rangers tactic thing, we just avoid giving away daft set pieces to give them any chance. I can't see them making out. The only question that's been interesting in the last 4 weeks, who starts at the back? Awata and Starfelt again?
I think the team that started against Aberdeen, and only Maeda didn't start because he was suspended for the Hibs game, wasn't he? I think that's the team, isn't it, really?
But that also shows the squad idea. I mean, like, we've not got a reliable centre half. I know we've got Welsh and what's his name? Kobayashi. But I mean, obviously they're not being relied on, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer. One way or the other, we're going to have quite a few changes.
If Kobayashi doesn't come back for pre-season, having put on a stone of pure muscle, he's not going to make it at Celtic. He's just not going to make it. They have to be putting him now on something akin to an individual program to make him physically bulk up. Because he's a good footballer, but he's not strong enough. And he's not strong enough at our domestic level. Now, ironically, he came on, didn't he play?
Coming back, right?
Half an hour in the cup final, didn't he? Against the Huns. And didn't look out of place at all. He was absolutely fine. But he's not strong enough. It's clear that, like any other player, he needs to run games. He's not going to get that. So
it was Awata that came on the cup final midfield.
Sorry. Did Kobayashi not play against them in another game and did
Ibrox,
fine?
the one that get pumped. Ibrox.
Right. No. Did he not play in one of the other ones?
As you say, he needs to up his game one way or another and achieve. But again, a lot of players have had to adjust, and again, Celtic are going to have to adjust. Hector alluded to the whole Carter Vickers and another Carter Vickers. I kind of see Starfelt getting dropped because he does everything that Ange asks him, even though he might give us a few bomb scares now and again, and you don't break up a winning partnership if you can avoid it. Yeah. So I don't think that'll be the first area they'll be looking, but a couple of good reserves will be good rather than relying on a last minute loan deal. That kind of idea. Right, final questions. Monty, to you. I'm going to keep a special one for Hector. What age is Ange Postecoglou?
57.
Oh, he's on his wiki page and I can see.
Fuck off.
Okay, a special one for Hector. Since he was a boy, what is Ange's favourite Australian rules football team?
Carlton.
Well done, Hector. Kept that one straight. You're a big Australian rules football.
Big Geelong. Geelong's the team.
Geelong Cats. So that was us. So that was the season that was. Hopefully we'll win a treble on Saturday. As always, thanks to everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe where you can. We should be back. If and when the worst thing does happen, and Ange should go, then we'll jump on and have a quick podcast. Just to salute the guy. That's the thing. If he does decide to go, he'll go with our best wishes.
What the fuck?
Anyway,
Here, just before you do wrap it, would you welcome Kevin Muscat?
No,
save that for a future podcast, Monty.
Playing goals instead of Scott Bain, perhaps.
Graham Potter's the man for me.
Well, they have been interested. There you go. So we're already coming up with viable alternatives. But yeah, so if anything should happen of significance in the close season, then we'll jump on. But I don't imagine it will. Fingers crossed, and we'll just come back towards the end of July and into August when the season starts. As always, thanks to everyone for listening. We really do appreciate it. And it's left for me to say thank you to Hector and Monty. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Desi. Cheers.
Thanks, and thanks again, folks. And please tune in. Please go to Ralph's daily diary at etims.net, where you'll get his Etims diary. Thanks very much for listening. Have a great summer. My name's Desi. Good night.